So this video is to help you fill out the remainder of the R3 notes. The last part we didn't get to yesterday was long division with polynomials. So when you're dividing polynomials, first you will have two parts. The part being divided is called the dividend, and the part you're dividing by is called the divisor. And there's basically three steps that we'll go through to divide polynomials. We're first going to set up the problem, just as we would a normal long division problem. The dividend goes underneath. And the divisor goes on the outside. Now, one thing you should always check before you actually start dividing is that your exponents should be written in descending order, and they should be sequential. So notice our exponents go 3, 2, x to the first, this is x to the 0. So we don't need any placeholders. If you're ever missing a term, you do have to add a placeholder. The same goes for your divisor. This is x to the first, and this would be x to the 0. So we don't need any placeholders in either location. So now what we're going to do is you will divide your first terms. And that means the first term here and here. And so when we do 12x cubed divided by 3x, we will get 4x squared. Now, the second step is we are going to multiply our divisor by this result. It is just the distributive property. So 4x squared times 3x becomes 12x cubed, and 4x squared times 2 becomes 8x squared. And then from there, we will subtract. Those will cancel themselves out. 11x squared minus 8x squared leaves us with 3x squared. And then we will bring the next term down. And then you start the process over until you get to a point where you can no longer divide the first terms. So from here, I will start again. 3x squared divided by 3x is going to be 1x. I will distribute or multiply that to my divisor. So that will be 3x squared plus 2x. I will subtract. Those eliminate. 5x minus 2x is 3x, and bring the next term down. Again, we continue this process until we can no longer divide. 3x divided by 3x is 1. When I distribute 1 to my divisor, I will end up with 3x plus 2, and then I will subtract. 3x's eliminate. Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. Well, we are not going to be able to do negative 10 divided by 3x because they are no longer like terms, or they don't have a common factor that we can divide out. So that means we're finished. So your answer is what is the combination of all your results. This is your remainder. And how we will write our remainder is it is your combined results plus our remainder over our divisor, and that would be your final answer. But if you follow these steps, check your setup first to see if you need any placeholders, and then if you follow these steps over and over until you can no longer divide, you will arrive at your answer. Let's look at one more example. Now this problem, we are dividing 8x to the 4th plus 12x squared plus 7x minus 18 by x squared plus 2. So when we set up our problem, the first thing I notice is that my exponents go from 4 to 2. So I'm missing an x to the 3rd. So I will need a placeholder. So I will just put in 0 x to the 3rd because I have none. And then the rest of my terms are decreasing sequentially. Okay? I also notice on my divisor that I go from x squared to x to the 0. I'm missing an x to the 1st. So I will also have to add a placeholder on this side. It doesn't change the process at all. You just have to have the problem set up correctly. And so now we will begin with the steps we did on the previous problem. We will divide our first terms. Well, 8x to the 4th divided by x squared will leave us 8x squared. Then our second step, we will distribute this to our divisor. And I will end up with 8x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 16x squared. And I will subtract that. My x to the fourth eliminate. 0 minus 0, those eliminate. 12x squared minus 16x squared gives me negative 4x squared. Now, for this next step, what is a little bit different, but it's actually helpful, since I am dividing this by something that is now 3 terms, I'm actually going to bring the next 2 terms down. And now I will go through the process again. Negative 4x squared divided by x squared will leave me with just negative 4. I will distribute that to my divisor. And I will subtract. My x squareds will eliminate. 7 minus 0 will leave me with 7x. Negative 18 minus negative 8 becomes negative 18 plus 8, or minus 10. It is perfectly fine if your remainder is an expression. And so our final answer for this problem will be 8x squared minus 4 plus 7x minus 10 over my divisor, x squared plus 2. When you write your final answer, you do not need to continue to keep the placeholder. That is just so that the division will work out correctly. So after these 2 examples, I would like you to try the last few problems on the R3 Day 2 assignment. Hopefully you'll be able to finish those. If you have any questions, please feel free to make a note of those, and we will address those on Monday when we get back. Have a good weekend.